Welcome to this space, a space just for you to reconnect and look inward.
In the two previous videos, we learned a few poses and exercises that are going to help us build our bodies and prepare for the full pose, Pincha Mayurasana. Now in this video, we're going to learn step by step how to get into the pose. Just don't be frustrated if you don't get there right away. You most likely won't. It took me almost 2 years to feel stable in the pose. So it's a challenging pose. Remember that it's your process. Try to enjoy the journey, which is going to teach you a lot more than just the pose itself. So let's get started. You're going to start in tabletop. And the first thing you're going to do is draw your elbows in and drop your elbows down. Straight down. Wherever they fall, that's exactly where you want them to be. So you might notice that your elbows will be slightly, just by a little bit, narrower than your shoulders. And that's fine because as you put more weight on your shoulders, so as you walk forward and as you go up into the pose, your elbows might tend to open a little bit and there will be right underneath your shoulders. So you don't want them to be wider than your shoulders because then it's going to be really hard for you to activate your shoulders and hold the weight of your body. So you might just collapse. So let's see that again. Draw your elbows in and drop your elbows down. Now from here, you're going to lift your knees up and walk your feet forward. Try to keep your legs as straight as you can. Send your chest back and try to press through your elbows, activating your shoulders. Gaze towards your toes and you're just going to hold here. This is going to be your first step and you can stay here for as long as you need. For as long as you feel comfortable before moving to the next step. Okay, so in this second step, you're going to lift one leg up at a time, keeping your hips squared. So obviously when you lift one leg up, there's going to be more weight on your shoulders. And we want our body to kind of get used to that, to build that strength to be able to hold it. So let's see how that feels. Come back to tabletop. Draw your elbows in, drop your elbows down. Knees up and walk your feet forward. Remember, send your chest slightly back. You want to avoid your shoulders from moving too far forward, like beyond your elbows. So again, send your chest slightly back. Keep your shoulders active by pressing your elbows down and lift one leg up. So you can lift the right leg up first. Remember, try to keep your hip squared. Don't let your hip open. And breathe here. Try to lift your left heel up as much as you can. Let's see how it feels on the other side. Left leg up. Try to point your foot to keep that leg straight. And remember here, try to lift your right heel up. And you can hold with each leg for around 5 breaths. And again, you can stay on that step for as long as you need, for months. Just practice and practice those steps until you feel comfortable to move into the next. Now for the next step, if you want to use the wall, feel free to do so, because in this step, you're going to try to lift your other foot up. So you're going to bend your knee and try to bring it towards your chest and really activate your core there. So now you're putting even more weight on top of your shoulders, and now it's going to obviously require more balance. So again, if you don't feel comfortable yet without the wall, just feel free to go to the wall. So let's try it out. Tabletop. Draw your elbows in and drop your elbows down. Lift your knees up and walk your feet forward. Sending your hips over your shoulders. Lift one leg up. So in my case, I feel more comfortable with the right, but it's important to practice with both. And you might find that one side will be easier than the other. And that's okay. Now, you're gonna switch your gaze here, so try to look in between your forearms and lift your left heel as much as you can, shifting your weight slightly forward, and then lift your foot up. Find your balance here, core very engaged, and go down. So again, you want to practice both sides, but it's normal that one side will feel easier than the other. So for me, again, lifting the right leg up first is more comfortable, is easier, and you will find which leg works best for you, but try to practice both. And for the last step, you're going to stretch your other leg up, trying to bring your legs together. So as you build your strength in your shoulders and core, as well as your balance in the pose, you might notice that your back will arch, and eventually we want to avoid that banana back. But again, at first it will happen as you build your strength and balance in the pose. So it's also kind of like a way to protect yourself from falling, but it's something very unconscious, but it's important to build that awareness and know that you want to eventually avoid arching your spine. I'm still working on that straight back. It's something that takes a while to build. So even if you achieve the pose, even when you get to the pose and you feel stable there, there's still a lot more to learn and practice. So let's try out that last step. So back to tabletop. Draw your elbows in and drop your elbows down, knees up, and walk your feet forward. Lift one leg up, keeping your hips squared. Switch your gaze. Try to lift your left heel up as much as you can and bring your foot up. Find your balance here first. Once you feel stable, stretch the left leg up, legs together. So while you're up there, think about drawing your lower ribs in, really activating your core. And that's going to help you a lot to avoid that banana back. Also try to keep your legs together and active, and always keep pressing through your elbows. Don't let your shoulders collapse. Thank you so much for joining me in this series. I hope you enjoyed it and it was helpful for your journey towards Pincha Mayurasana. Keep practicing all these videos a lot, and remember that the process is more important than the pose itself. So again, try to enjoy the journey and be patient with yourself. Namaste.